Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about some very interesting news that has happened in the last few days for Deadlock, and that is we have had some substantial leaks about the future content that could be coming in the next few months for Deadlock. So to start off with, I will be showing images of the leaked heroes and models, and talking about some of the details as well that some of the leakers have said. I was questioning or not whether to put images, but I mean, given the fact that I have seen people literally post the images constantly in the Discord with the Valve employees, I think it's fine. Valve don't seem to be that, they don't care as much. When Deadlock was sort of under NDA, kind of somewhat, where the fact that you couldn't like record videos and stream it until around August when they lifted it or whatever. Of course they were taking it down then, but for now I think it's like you can just kind of talk about whatever. So we'll be showing that. Originally was as well, there's a leaked image of the hero, like upcoming hero page, featuring redesigns and new hero designs as well. This was from a streamer who accidentally showed it on his stream. I won't be saying the streamer's name, it's for common courtesy. But of course, if you look it up, then you'll maybe find his name or whatever. But so, without further ado, let's start talking about these leaks. So, the leaks, of course, came from the streamer, and we'll first talk about the hero select images, the hero select screen that was leaked. So, of course, we have redesigns of current existing heroes, which include Dynamo, Ivy, Lady Geist, McGinnis, Pocket, and Wraith. All of these have got updated icons, and I'm assuming that they're going to get updated models as well. I mean, eventually everyone's going to get an updated model and icon and stuff. Pretty much everything is like temporary art, or art that will get enhanced over time as well. So we have those. I've shown on screen of all the images of these as well. We also have Viper. Despite not having a new icon just yet, a model of new Viper has leaked as well. I'm sure whenever we get an update and Viper's model is updated, we'll get a new icon as well, of course. So these are all interesting, changes to these characters. Some are divisive. Some people like how like Wraith looks, or Geist looks, or even Dynamo. Some people are not as keen on Ivy. The Ivy fan base is a unique one for sure, and it's a bit divisive between whether or not they prefer like the more monster type gargoyle effect. She's still a gargoyle, but whether they prefer the more monster type look to this kind of more cutesy, cartoony kind of look this new Ivy has. So we'll have to see how it looks in game and things like that. But of course we have those. McGinnis has gone from like a futuristic type, or more like, she has the welding mask, and there's a lot more like baggage on her, to some more somewhat fitting more the style while still having that kind of technical mechanic type vibe to her. In terms of quality of the model, it's much better, because the model she used before was basically her Neon Prime model. Of course now they've still kept the base, but then changed it around to fit the current aesthetic of Deadlock, and I think it looks pretty good. Of course there's always improvements they can do and tweaks like that, but overall I think she looks quite good. Viper is a temp model still. It's not finished, as there's a picture of, there's a post-it note on the back of the Viper model saying work in progress. So it's not fully done, of course, but it makes sense. Viper being the snake has a passive that slithers around, of course, so her being a snake or a lizard was fitting, and it looks like they're going the snake route rather than like a lizard, which of course makes sense. The passive was literally called Slither. We haven't got any in-game models of Geist, Pocket, or Wraith yet, or Dynamo, but I'm sure with time we will see those and whatnot. So now, of course, let's move on to the other heroes. We've got seven heroes with unique icons, those being Boho, Bookworm, Doorman, Drifter, Frank, Priest, and Vampire Bat. These could be temp names, maybe like Vampire Bat could be a temp name or something like that, or whatever, maybe, who knows. Like, I mean, we had Magician was changed to Sinclair, of course. Viper was Viper with an I instead of now it's a Y, so of course their names can always change and whatnot. But they actually have, you know, brand new icons and models, it looks like, that we'll be getting at some point in the future. And of course, the big goals they said at the beginning of 2025 was to expand the hero roster, and you know, we're getting a good amount of heroes being added here, and whether they become like get trickled over time or they're all going to get mass released at some point, we don't know. But I'm hoping we get like trickle releases, just so they, of course, they can work on it over time and we get something to play with rather than having to wait a bit longer or whatever, which I'll get into in just a bit. So all these designs are quite unique. They're much different, of course. We got like Bobo, who has fancy, kind of like it kind of gives me like a florist type vibe to her, with the big hat and whatever, similar to like style maybe to Lady Geist, maybe not as like fancy and elegant maybe, but she looks still quite, you know, up class type vibe to her. We have Bookworm, which obviously plays like a librarian look, of course, with the glasses, sort of signature stereotype of a librarian. Has like, you know, related to books or something like that. Doorman, as typical to like New York bellhops or anything like that. But God knows what his power, his kits and ability is going to be, of course. But it's an interesting, and it does fit the theme, of course, with Deadlock. And I think once we see the models in game, then we can get a much better indication as well as their abilities and stuff like that. So next we have Drifter, who gives me like just a vampire vibe. Usually it's like he has fangs, the red eyes, and kind of like, I don't know what's some of the words to describe the hair, I guess. I'm not really sure on the word. I've kind of lost the word. Scruffy hair, I guess. Of course, the red kind of cloak definitely thinks that this is a vampire and has like life draining abilities. It's maybe similar to Lazy Geist, but more in a different way, of course. Oh, we also have, you know, a character later on at the end called Vampire Bat, so we have two vampire type characters, so it might be something else. He might just transform into some kind of other monster. Werewolf, that probably makes more sense. I just thought that now. Maybe they take the concept of Shiv's old ultimate where he transformed into a monster, and then put it into Drifter maybe. But he shares the aesthetic of a vampire, but I could definitely see him being like a werewolf character, of course. Which would make sense if we're going to have a vampire character as well. And then, of course, the next character, Frank, who is like rotting and decayed, similar to Frankenstein. So, and his name's literally Frank. So the connection there is very clear and obvious. You are getting like these sort of monster type characters alongside regular characters, which makes, I mean, we already have like monster characters in the game. Viper, of course, is going to be a snake. Viscous is a pile of goo. God knows what Seven is. It was a human, but now some kind of, you know, powerful, lightning-wielding magic guy. I don't know what the hell Seven is, to be perfectly honest. Ivy's a gargoyle, of course. So there is definitely a mix of character designs. Next we have Priest, who looks quite, you know, rugged and rough, I guess. Could be some kind of like soldier or something like that, or given the name Priest, I saw also on like Reddit someone made a discussion saying that he maybe like he disavows magic and is against it and stuff, and the occult stuff, and he like fights against it somewhat, which would make sense. And there's Vampire Bat, which is like I'm guessing is the vampire character, and Drifter is more the werewolf character. She's like black hair, and the umbrella, I'm guessing, to block the sun, which is a cool detail, I guess. Whether she transforms into a bat, similar to like how Calico transforms into Ava. you could see maybe she has a ability where she transforms into a bat for a limited time and can fly across the map or something. I think that'll be also pretty cool. There are other characters' names like Punk Goat, Skyrunner, and Swan. However, they don't have models and are just using the icons of Shiv, Lash, and Paradox. So we don't know anything about them yet, other than just their names. But this is very interesting stuff that we got quite a decent number of heroes on the horizon. There's about 10 heroes upcoming. Like I said, I would don't know when they're coming, or not, whether they come soon in the next few weeks, potentially May, who knows, whether we get a few then, or we'll just have to hold out until potentially the summer, which moves on to the next sort of leak that sort of has been, I guess, semi-confirmed somewhat, I don't know, but there was rumors previously in the last couple months, around I guess January, February, where they had someone was saying that there was going to be a big sort of stream event in the summer, probably around maybe June, July time. Of course, this could always get delayed, and of course, it's always going to be fake. And people are skeptical about it. It's even like, oh, you know, the game hasn't, you know, unless they do some big updates from then and now, you know, from now on to then, whether or not the game is able to have a stream event, sort of, and would be open to the general public. I mean, it is now, but you need an invite. What this sort of streamer event is entailing is that the game will go into open beta at the same time as this event, or around this time of this event, in June, July, which is very exciting because it's going to open up the game to plenty of people who just want to give the game a try, but either just don't know anyone that will, you know, who has the game. Of course, it's pretty easy to get access to the game. If you go on Reddit, you can get an invite. If you go on a Discord, you know, there's a decent amount of people that do have access to the game and stuff like that. So, but some people will just wait. Will just wait, and most people, I think, will just wait until there's more finalized assets and stuff like that, and wait for an actual proper release. Whether they just don't like the temporary look of the game, or they just don't like how things have been constantly changing, or whatnot, they can always wait. But if there is an open beta and in the summer, one, it probably means Valve is going to officially like announce Deadlock. They're gonna put out a trailer and they're gonna officially announce, hey, we are working on Deadlock. Of course, most people know, if you're in the like Valve space and stuff like that, of course you know about it. If you're watching this video, you know about it, of course. But anyone else, that most people would have seen it from streamers that played it last year. But I've actually officially announcing, hey, we are working on this game. Here's an open beta. Come play this game and help us develop it and stuff. Similar to what they did with Dota 2. It's sort of a similar or the same dev team as Dota 2. It's also like, you know, some of the people that helped make Dota 2, like Ice Frog, as whether it's infamous or popular, depending on it. I'm not really into the Dota space at all, but he was, you know, like original creator of Dota for like Warcraft 3 and stuff, and then Valve hired them to make Dota 2 on Source, and now I'm guessing they're working on this project on Deadlock. So they're going to do similar things to Dota in that regard, and which is very interesting and exciting because it's going to increase the player count, which will make the matchmaking quality much better. It'll make newer players easier to go with newer players instead of joining now, because most of the player base that still plays regularly now are a lot more experienced in the game. There's still, of course, it still has varying levels, but you can have like lower level ranked players with higher ranked players, just because there is not enough people to play. You know, we're only averaging around, you know, 10 to 15k on like peak times on Fridays and weekends and stuff. For the most part, you hit around, you know, 10 to 11k on evenings and stuff. At least my time anyway. Of course, that's probably like midday, afternoon for like America or whatever. So yeah, generally it's going to make the quality of games much better with more players and stuff. So that's exciting. Now I'm hoping that with this update in June, July, that's what I'm saying about whether they're going to slowly like release these heroes and changes um, between now and then. Like they'll just do one sort of small update with including a few of these heroes in May. I'm hoping so. It gives us content to talk about and play with. Or they'll just hold out and just like, okay, the next big update will be this one in the summer, which unfortunately I think is possible given Valve and Valve time. They want to be, rather than just releasing things and have to worry about that, they can just have a big bundle of content that is going to draw a lot of people in. There's 10 new heroes, there's overhauls to gameplay and things like that and stuff that I think definitely will attract people to the game for an open beta. Some other parts of the leaks that just have been talked about by a few of the leakers, and of course none of this, like some of these things are maybe unconfirmed. Same with the like open beta thing, potentially is unconfirmed, but we can still talk about it in being as a possibility and stuff like that. So we're going to have potentially gameplay reworks for Bebop, Dynamo, Vindicta, Haze, Sinclair, Viper and Ivy. Of course what these entail we don't know. The only sort of gameplay reworks we've seen in the past has been Moran Krill, where they replaced his Sandblast with like a shield or something or whatnot, but reworks for these sort of characters definitely is an interesting, and we'll have to see, you know, whether they get, you know, they will get changed or will they not get changed, and whatever they will be, of course. It's also a thing I've maybe mentioned before in a previous video, is that given that this game is still in development and whatnot, do expect potentially some of your favorite heroes to be changed, not only in look wise, which you're seeing now with this, but also their gameplay as well. It's that they've seen problematic parts of their kit, they don't really like it, we're going to change it around, we're going to remove this or change how it works drastically or something like that. So be aware if some of your favorite characters are these ones I just mentioned, or even, you know, any other ones that they haven't mentioned or said, that some of their game abilities and stuff like that may get tweaked. So of course be wary that if you see on a patch notes, oh, we've removed this ability from your favorite character, it's just a thing that can happen with an in development game, or even MOBAs in general. Even any game, of course. It's less like in some games, but definitely I feel like MOBAs, it happens quite a lot. They just don't like how the gameplay works or whatever, so of course be wary for that. As well, there's been the item shop, still people talking about it. Whether this, you know, this isn't new, this has been talked about before, I've mentioned it before, that the item shop is getting a rework. This leak here says the item shop is staying the same, like the items, but the amount of slots is being reduced to 8 normal slots and 4 flex slots. So that would include, because currently now we have 4 for each type of item. We have 4 for weapon, 4 for vitality, and 4 for spirit, and then 4 flex slots. Of course this would change. 8 normal slots divided by 3 isn't how it goes. I don't know how it's 8. I think there might be a mistype on this. It might be 6 because there has been an image or whatever of having 2 of weapon, vitality and spirit or whatever, and then 4 flex slots, which you get by of course doing the objectives and stuff. If they're not going to change how items work, I feel like this might just be a downgrade somehow, because maybe it's going to make people feel less powerful and stuff like that. It's going to make items way more, like situational items are going to be way more punishing, because you know, you don't have the space for it and stuff. And it's going to make like getting flex slots, you know, even more important and stuff like that. So I would imagine that they do change the items. I wouldn't if they were to just reduce the slots but keep all the items the same, I don't think that would work at all. There's too many items for not enough slots. I think they would have to really kind of bundle a lot of items together, or, you know, drastically change the whole thing. So of course we have to see how that goes, what they plan to do with that or whatever. So yeah, I think in general that is everything regarding these leaks. I am very much looking forward to what actually does come out as well. Apparently, I've also been seeing some of these some people say that these leaks are like months old, or at least particularly the McGuinness and the Viper models pictures that I've shown. They are like months old, but of course the hero screen is very recent because that was just accidentally streamed by a streamer. So that's up to date, as that's like the latest like dev build, secret dev build that's only accessible by like handpicked people from that Valve picks. So, but yeah, we there's probably a lot more progress behind the scenes that we actually know. Of course, but even still, all this stuff is exciting to learn about and whatnot. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm still hoping that they do release something between now and potentially then. But I'm not gonna like, it makes sense that they're just gonna withdraw, like not actually release any kind of major update. They'll just do minor balance patches and changes here and there. But they just hold it off for an open beta in the summer and release a ton of heroes and reworks and visual updates to the game. So that's what I'm expecting, of course. Yeah, all exciting stuff and whatnot. Let me know your feelings about all these leaks and stuff below. What do you like? Do you like any of the new hero designs, or dislike them, or anything like that, and whatnot? So thank you for watching this video. I will make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.